St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening, I am Jarvis Barney with your VON Major News Package for today, Friday, July 12, 2019. In our lead stories nationally, printing of national identification cards resumes in St. Kitts and Nevis as elections loom, and top 10 students of test of standards named, 40% hails from Charleston's primary school. Regionally, LEAT talks between Barbados and Antigua break down. Internationally, U.S. Labor Secretary Alex Acosta resigns over Epstein case. And in sports, top performers of primary schools tournament here on Nevis awarded. We'll have the details of these and other stories after this message.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, VON.
Welcome back on now on to the national news in detail. Citizens and residents here in St. Kitts and Nevis interested in obtaining or renewing their national identification cards can now do so. This comes as the Electoral Commission, in a press release issued today, Friday, July 12th, announced the resumption of the printing of national identification cards effective Monday, 15 July 2019. The moves come as elections are due here in the nation. Supervisor of Elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Mr. Elvin Bailey, explained to the VON Newsline how individuals can proceed with registering.
The national identification cards will be the final step in the registration process. For those persons who have cards, whose cards have expired, they need to come in, bring the old card with them, and make the application for a renewal of the card. A new card will be issued to them. Then picture will be taken, and a new card will be issued to them. Free of cost, of course, because there's no charge for the national identification card.
He also noted that persons who have registered in the past can now collect.
There are persons who would have registered and understand that the registration process was continuing, even though we were not printing cards. For those who would have registered, they can now come in and collect their cards. They will need to bring the receipt that was issued to them upon their registration. Now that they have been confirmed to register, because there's a 2-month waiting process, they can bring their receipt or send somebody to collect the card, as long as they give that person the receipt that they will receive from us, with instructions, of course, to collect it on their behalf.
Supervisor of Elections here in St. Kitts and Nevis, Mr. Elvin Bailey. Federal elections are constitutionally due here in St. Kitts and Nevis by 2020. Meantime, as federal elections draw closer here in the Twin Island nation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Electoral Commission has announced new features that have been added to its voter management system. These features include capturing of electronic signatures at the point of issuance of the cards, scanning of documents into voter records, capturing and storing claims and objections on voter files, and more robust cybersecurity aspects. The office also noted that there has been an upgrade to its computer hardware to the most recent operating system. But what effects will this have on the electoral process here in St. Kitts and Nevis? According to Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Elvin Bailey, this new upgrade will not compromise the electoral process.
The process of a free and fair election really has very little to do with the printing of cards and the machinery. The system was working all along. So anyone who needed to register was registering. Anyone who came in to register was being registered. Once you have been registered, or should I use the term enrolled, and your enrollment was confirmed, then you always had the right to vote. The machinery was just a facilitation of the process. So yes, it helps in the speeding it up, but the process never stopped. So the issue of free and fair elections is totally separate from that aspect of things.
Mr. Elvin Bailey. The upgrading of the system was executed by the international firm of Fujitsu in collaboration with the unit and the Electoral Commission's office. 4 of the 10 students, or 40%, who took the top 10 spots in the recently concluded Test of Standards examinations on Nevis are from the Charlestown Primary School. During a town hall meeting last evening, Thursday, July 11th, at the St. George's Anglican Schoolroom, Junior Minister of Education here at Nevis, the Honorable Troy Liburd, announced the names of the students and their respective schools.
The top student for this year's Test of Standard was Rusha Sharma, and that student was from the Nevis Academy. The student that placed second was Delcia Budgeon from the Charlestown Primary. Then we had Rejon Fifield from the Joycelyn Liburd Primary. Then Rashvi Rao from the Nevis Academy. Then Jalik Tyson from the Charlestown Primary. Then Shamar Utley from the Joycelyn Liburd Primary. Jahadon Herbert from the St. Thomas's Primary. Then Kalia Jones from the Charlestown Primary. Then Anhira Wilkes from the Charlestown Primary. And then Tashia Stanley from the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School.
We do apologize for that soundbite as we continue in the national news segment. Today, Friday, July 12th, is the official date for the end of the school year 2018-2019 in St. Kitts and Nevis. Therefore, July 12th is also the date when schools across Federation close. Additionally, primary schools here on Nevis have had their graduation ceremonies, and they are namely the Charlestown Primary, St. Thomas's Primary, Joycelyn Liburd Primary, Ivor Walters Primary, Elizabeth Pemberton Primary, Maud Cross Preparatory, St. James's Primary, and Violet O. Jeffers Nichols Primary. In St. Kitts, the Bronte Welsh Primary, Irish Town Primary, St. Paul's Primary, etc., as well as preschools across the Federation have had their graduation ceremonies. The 2019-2020 school year will commence in September. The Nevision public will over the weekend witness the groundbreaking ceremony for the Pinneys Recreational Park, which comes after years of planning, preparation and controversy. The ceremony is slated for Sunday, July 14th at 11 a.m. The groundbreaking will be done by President of the Republic of China, Taiwan, Her Excellency Tsai Ing-wen, who will be the first Taiwanese president to visit Nevis. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism here on Nevis, Mr. John Hanley, has been heading the project.
We have a number of high-ranking officials from the Republic of China, Taiwan, who will be coming over to Nevis to witness this event. As most persons would know, the Pinneys Park project is jointly funded by the Republic of China, Taiwan and the Nevis Island Administration. And we are grateful to the Republic of China, Taiwan for coming on board. So during this short ceremony, both countries will be involved in various ceremonial aspects that will symbolize the friendship between those two countries.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism here on Nevis, Mr. John Hanley. The cost of the park is some $3 million, of which the administration has committed some $370,000 of the amount. Meantime, President Tsai Ing-wen will arrive in St. Kitts on Saturday, July 13th, as part of a 3-night stay for an official state visit. The president's visit comes as part of a Caribbean tour that includes 4 countries, namely Haiti, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and St. Lucia. In more national news,
we at the early childhood sector salute her efforts and her works, and we do wish this institution the very best. And so it gives me great pride and joy in declaring the day officially. By the permission given to me by the PTA, the staff, the parents, and the students of the Maud Smith Preschool, I declare that the second Friday in July of each school year from this day forth forms part of the calendar of activities as the Maud Smith's Day.
Education Officer in the Ministry of Education here at Nevis with responsibility for preschools, Mrs. Donnie Lance. Mrs. Lance was speaking at a ceremony held this morning, Friday, July 12th, at the Maud Smith Preschool in honor of the school's founder, Miss Maud Smith, affectionately known as Teacher Maud. The event, which began at 9 o'clock, was in recognition of the founder and the contribution she made in the lives of all those who attended the school and to the entire community. The brief but impactful ceremony saw former student of the school, Miss Diane Hobson, giving a profile of the late Miss Maud Smith. Following the education officer's remarks, a banner was unveiled in the honor of Teacher Maud. Supervisor of the school, Mrs. Josette Myers, following the ceremony, told the VON Newsline that this is a significant symbolization of day for the learning institution.
It feels great to know that we have Maud Smith there, an unsung hero of Bad Village. She helped a lot of persons in the time. So the second Friday in July is our Maud Smith Day, where we will have a celebration and our major fundraiser in memory of Maud Smith.
Supervisor of the Maud Smith Preschool, Mrs. Josette Myers. And lastly, in our national news segment, in police news, a man who was being sought by police for questioning on suspicion of murder committed on June 17, 2019 in Boyo, St. Kitts, turned himself into the police. According to a communique from the police, Michael Davis, alias Mickey of Molyneux, who was identified in a person of interest bulletin on Wednesday, July 10th, presented himself to the police on Thursday, July 11th. The police also extended appreciation to the media for assisting in disseminating the information and to the general public for their assistance. And that's it for our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com, or you can check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
Ladies and gentlemen, this here's another one for the steppers.
Swipe to win big in 2019. That's right, the Bank of Nevis Limited is once again giving you, our valued customers, a chance to win big. Just swipe or use your Bond Visa credit card for US $100 for a chance to win a cruise for two, an iPhone XS, or a grocery dash at Best Buy Supermarket.
Say what?
Sign up for a Bond Visa credit card and automatically be entered for a chance to win. This offer ends August 31st, 2019. So tell your friends and family, just swipe to win big with the Bank of Nevis. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram.
Welcome back on to the regional news. Reports coming out of Bridgetown, Barbados indicate that negotiations on the sale of Liat shares between Barbados and Antigua and Barbuda have broken down. Barbados Today reported on Thursday that talks between the teams from Antigua and Barbuda and Barbados, which took place last Monday at the Hilton Hotel, lasted only a few hours before stalling. The visiting team subsequently left the island without a deal being reached, the newspaper said. Barbados' negotiation team was led by Attorney General Dale Marshall and also included Minister for Tourism Kerry Simmons and Director of Finance and Economic Affairs Ian Carrington. According to reports, the home team was not impressed with what Liat what Antigua and Barbuda brought to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, a source out of Antigua and Barbuda said it did not appear a deal would be struck anytime soon. The source revealed that among the sticking points to Barbados selling its 49.4% majority stake in Liat was Prime Minister Mia Mottley's insistence that Antigua and Barbuda would have to take up Barbados's almost $100 million loan commitments. That debt is due mainly to a loan from the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, which was used to purchase 3 Liat aircrafts. In the Cayman Islands, a police officer has been arrested in connection with the burglary of a bank in 2016. The 46-year-old officer, who has not been named, was arrested on Thursday and has been suspended from duty from the Royal Cayman Islands Police Force. He has not yet been charged, and police have released few details. The Cayman Press understands the arrest is linked to a break-in at the Royal Bank of Canada on Shedden Road, Georgetown, in June 2016. According to the Cayman Compass, media reports from the time indicate the bank was targeted in an overnight raid. The burglars were not able to get into the bank's vault but took money from tills behind the cashier's desk, according to reports. The police statement on Thursday stated that detectives worked with the Serious Crime Review team of the RCIPS arrested a man aged 46 of Georgetown in connection with the burglary of a bank back in June 2016. Out of Barbados, as this year's hurricane season gets underway, psychosocial support will be utilized to help Caribbean people when disaster hits. The Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO, and the Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, have launched the Stronger Together campaign that draws attention to the information and tools available to assist communities in better coping with psychological impact of adverse events. It is part of a PAHO and CDB initiative to train 16 psychologists, psychiatrists, and social workers in mental health and psychosocial support in the aftermath of the devastating 2017 hurricane season. This has created a roster of health professionals from which PAHO can mobilize resources to affected countries in an emergency. The awareness campaign will run until October 2019 and includes an illustrated booklet of psychological first aid, public service announcements for video and radio, video testimonials, and a radio jingle to be broadcast across the Caribbean. And lastly, in our regional news segment, the Jamaican government is looking to establish direct flights between Jamaica and Mexico as part of efforts to expand service across the northern Caribbean and its environs. Transport and Mining Minister Robert Montag said that the move will go a far way in reducing travel time between the countries by eliminating the need for persons to transit through Miami, and he was speaking at the recent launch of domestic flight service by local aviation company Jam Airlink Express at Ian Fleming International Airport in St. Mary. And that's it for our regional news segment. Stay with us for news around the world. Welcome back on to the international news. U.S. Labor Secretary Alex Acosta is resigning amid criticism of his brokering of a plea deal for financier Jeffrey Epstein in a child sex case. Mr. Acosta, a former Florida prosecutor, made the announcement from the White House lawn earlier today with President Donald Trump by his side. Democrats had called for him to quit over his handling of the Epstein case. Mr. Acosta defended the secretly negotiated plea deal in a news conference only 2 days ago. Mr. Acosta was the U.S. attorney in Miami in 2008 when he oversaw a non-prosecution deal against Epstein, which allowed Mr. Epstein to serve 13 months in jail, with much of that time spent on work release at his Palm Beach office. Epstein's conduct has come into sharper focus since he was arrested and charged on Monday with sex trafficking underage girls. A train carrying millions of liters of water, rolled into the southern Indian city of Chennai for the first time earlier today, providing desperately needed relief to residents who have been facing an acute water shortage for the past month. The city, Tamil Nadu's state capital and one of India's biggest metropolitan areas, has been crippled by the shortage brought on poor water management, last year's disappointing monsoon, and continuous population growth. More in this BBC report.
The monsoon rains in Chennai are at least 2 months away. The train's 2.5 million litres of water won't last long, and the city's 4 biggest water reservoirs have virtually run dry. Years of draining groundwater have depleted aquifers as well. The shortage has forced some schools to shut, companies to ask employees to work from home, and hotels to ration water for guests. Environmentalists warn that it is not just Chennai. Many other Indian cities like Delhi and Bangalore are likely to run out of groundwater due to unplanned rapid urbanization.
Turkey has received the first parts of a Russian S-400 missile defense system, despite opposition from the US. The shipment arrived in an airbase in the capital of Ankara early today, the Turkish Defense Ministry says. The move will anger the US, which has warned that Turkey cannot have both the S-400 anti-aircraft defense system and US F-35 fighter jets. The BBC's Mark Lowen reports.
This purchase of the Russian defense shield is going to put serious strain on the relationship, not only between Turkey and the US, but also between Turkey and NATO. And even though President Erdogan appealed directly to Donald Trump to try to waive those sanctions, there is big US Congress pressure to impose the sanctions now on Turkey, and that will be a real warning for the Turkish economy, which is already in dire straits. It can hardly cope with more sanctions on it. And so really it is looking very, very dicey now. I would say that Turkey's relations with the US and with NATO potentially plunge into a new low with what's happened today.
And Volkswagen and Ford have said they will work together on developing self-driving and electric cars in an attempt to reduce costs on new technologies. Volkswagen plans to invest $2.6 billion in Ford's self-driving unit, which is valued at $7 billion. The move comes after the duo said in March they would build vans together. Volkswagen's chief executive, Herbert Diess, told a news conference that the deal would bring big benefits.
Our joint investment in Argo AI will provide us with a one-of-a-kind self-driving system technology. It will enable Volkswagen and Ford to design and manufacture SDS vehicles based on this technology. From our perspective, this is a win-win situation.
And that brings us to the end of our news segment. The latest in sports is next.
Get the hottest summer deal on your vehicle from TDC Automotive and pay no deposit. Finance your vehicle at the lowest interest rate ever with TDC Financial Services for as low as $775 per month. We're giving you 1 year free insurance with TDC Insurance Company on selected models. Free insurance? Now that's hot! Save even more with free servicing for up to 1 year. Free licensing, registration, accessories, and tinting. Save thousands and get lit with the hottest summer deal from TDC Automotive. We're #1 for a reason. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back on Our Other Sports. In local sports, at the conclusion of the grand finals in the Renako Morton TDC Primary Schools Cricket League on Wednesday, the top performers were awarded with trophies and medals. A brief ceremony was held at the main pavilion area. Among those addressing the gathering were Acting Director of Sports Brian Dow, Minister of Education, the Honorable Troy Liburd, and Minister of Sports, the Honorable Eric Evelyn, who lauded the sponsors, TDC, and the efforts of the ministries and departments of sports and education in ensuring that the tournament is an annual one. Specific awards were given And they are as follows: champion team, St. Thomas's Primary; second placed team, Ivor Waters Primary; most disciplined team, Mud Cross Preparatory; most runs, Kamal Brandy of the EPPS; most wickets, Carl and Ferdinand of the Joyce and Libert Primary, 13 wickets; best wicket keeper, Anthony Moving, St. Thomas's Primary; MVP of the tournament, Tylo Nisbet of the St. Thomas's Primary; and man of the finals, Isaiah Sadler of the St. Thomas's Primary. In basketball, the Boston Celtics earned the top seed in the MGM Resorts NBA Summer League 2019 tournament following the first 7 days of action in Las Vegas. The Detroit Pistons 2, Minnesota Timberwolves 3, New Orleans Pelicans 4, Miami Heat 5, Dallas Mavericks 6, Brooklyn Nets 7, and Memphis Grizzlies 8 round out the 8 tournament teams. This marks the first year of the 8-team tournament format. The single elimination tournament tips off on July 13th at the Thomas and Mack Center on the campus of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. The tournament will culminate in a championship game on Monday, July 16th at 6 p.m. The 24 teams who did not qualify for the tournament will each play a consolation game, tipping off this evening at the Thomas and Mack Center and Cox Pavilion, and will conclude tomorrow, July 13th. Each of the 32 teams played 4 games apiece since the event tipped off on July 5th, with the results of those games determining the tournament seeding. In football, Barcelona have signed France forward Antoine Griezmann from La Liga rivals Atletico Madrid after paying his €120 million buyout clause. The 28-year-old World Cup winner has signed a 5-year deal which includes an €800 million release clause. Griezmann joined Atletico from Real Sociedad in 2014 and scored 133 goals in 256 appearances. He signed a new 5-year deal in June 2018, but announced in May he would be leaving the club this summer. In tennis, Serena Williams made light work of Barbara Strycova to reach the Wimbledon final and stand 1 win away from a record equaling 24th Grand Slam title. The American was just too powerful for the Czech in a 6-1, 6-2 win that set up a final against Romania's Simona Halep. Williams, chasing an 8th singles title here, dominated throughout against Strycova, who at 33 was the oldest Grand Slam semi-final debutant. The American 37 wrapped up victory with just 59 minutes on the clock. Meantime, Simona Halep eased into her first Wimbledon final with a straight-set victory over Elena Svitolina. Romanian 7th seed Halep wrapped up a 6-1, 6-3 victory over the Ukrainian 8th seed in 1 hour and 13 minutes. And lastly, in our sports segment, still in tennis, defending champion Novak Djokovic defied a mid-match slump to reach the Wimbledon final with a 4-set victory over Roberto Bautista Agut. In an agitated display, the Serb beat Spain's Bautista Agut 6-2, 4-6, 6-3, 6-2 to reach his 25th Grand Slam final. Djokovic, chasing his 5th Wimbledon title, will face Roger Federer or Rafael Nadal in the final on Sunday. Bautista Agut, who had been expecting to be in Ibiza for his stag do on Friday, had won both of his ties with Djokovic in 2019 in Doha and Miami, yet this was to be their first meeting on grass. But he showed little sign of troubling Djokovic in the first set, having his opening service game broken as Djokovic steamrolled his way into a 3-love lead. And that brings us to the end of our sports segment. The weather is next. Welcome back. The weather tonight will continue to be partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of a brief early morning shower. The winds are east at 8 to 14 knots or 15 to 26 kilometers per hour. The seas are 1.2 to 1.8 meters or 46 feet. The sunrise tomorrow will be at 5:44 a.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, July 12, 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, printing of national identification cards resumes in St. Kitts and Nevis as elections loom, And top 10 students of test of standards named, 40% hails from the Charleston Primary School. Regionally, late talks between Barbados and Antigua break down. Internationally, U.S. Labor Secretary Alex Acosta resigns over Epstein case. And in sports, top performers of primary schools tournament awarded. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Jarvis Brown wishing you a safe and enjoyable weekend.